Welcome to
Introverts, Own Your Voice. I'm Tom Marcoux.
And I'm Johanna McLeod.
This episode is Essential Secrets to Win with a Speech or Pitch. Johanna, when was a time when you gave a speech that you could feel it? The audience had what I call a click-in moment. They were right there with you. They understood what you were doing and they wanted to hear more.
I believe the second speech I did for Toastmasters, I really had the audience with me, and it was a really good feeling. It was when I shared a moment of my life when I was 8 years old.
Ah, I see what you're talking about. So what happens is everybody in the audience had lived through being 8 years old. Mm-hmm. So they had a point where they could connect with you. Mm-hmm. They had a point where they could relate to what you were going through. Mm-hmm. That's crucial. I'm talking about essential secrets to win with a speech or a pitch in this episode. And this comes down to something I call the 5 W's. So we're going to be focusing on why and what and that kind of thing, because a pitch or a speech works when you answer these questions. These are subconscious questions that the person has while they're listening to you. Mm-hmm. Now, you have an audience. They're seated as a group, but they're listening to you each as an individual.
Very good point.
Thank you. And so 5 W's. I'm going to give you a quick overview of what these are, and then we'll break them down a little bit too. Mm-hmm. But I want you to have a sense of the whole picture.
Okay.
5 W's. Number 1, what is it? Mm-hmm. So in a pitch, if you're offering a new product, you're offering a new service, you're trying to get funding, you want people to be involved in what you do, you have to let them know, what is it? Next is, who is it for? And connected to that is, who benefits? Mm-hmm. Third, why should I listen to you?
Because I'm special.
And because you're credible, because you're the person, let's say in a pitch, who has the credentials, has the life experience, has the power, passion, and intelligence, and focus, and persistence to make this project complete.
I still say I'm special.
Okay, terrific. I believe it. I agree. 4, what's in it for me? This is a classic idea, what's in it for me? But all the time, since we are inundated with thousands of marketing messages, all kinds of things hitting us. I mean, we can't even have email without getting advertising. So all these marketing messages are hitting us constantly. You can't even walk down the street without being hit by details on people's t-shirts or on a baseball cap. There are all these marketing messages. You have to get to the point and let people know what's in it for me. Mm-hmm. And finally, number 5, especially for pitches, what does this disrupt? Disruption is very important. Very soon, I'm going to be in Thailand. I'm going to be expressing the material of my speech and workshop called Convince Investors to Fund You. Mm-hmm. And what's very important is you express the big idea. And the big idea, as I frame it and pull together research and other things like that, the big idea is 3 main things: unfair advantage, disruption, big profits.
We all want that.
Well, certainly investors do. They want to have 5-10 times their investment. So you got to show that there is a clear path to the big profits. The reason why we want disruption is because an incremental change is nothing. The smartphone is a disruption. The smartphone is combining all these opportunities, all these different functions in one fantastic thing that apparently is melded to every teenager's hand. And
I know a few adults that it's also melded to.
Well, I saw a video of someone looking at their smartphone and they went over a banister and right into a hole in the ground.
Oh my gosh. Which
was basically where people deliver packages to the basement. So the hole was in the sidewalk. And that's how there's so much noise and we are so distracted that right in the beginning of your speech or your pitch, you've got to aim for these 5 W's. So now what I'm going to do is add a little bit more.
You should add another one without cell phone.
That's exciting. And not going to happen. Nowadays, speakers, what they'll do is they'll say, if you have a particular idea or something that you want me to bring up, just send me a text at, and they'll actually let people text them. And then somewhere in the presentation, even stand-up comedians will do that, where they'll go through texts.
I've never heard of that.
Because that's how, well, the word is ubiquitous in terms of that's how smartphones are basically
inundated our lives.
Well, true. It's another, I was going to say another appendage on people. Here's my point. 5 W's, and we're going to go through them again. I'll add a couple more comments. 1, what is this? It's absolutely crucial because there are people who give pitches. I've seen this. I've been a pitch judge in a number of conferences. And what happens is at the end of the pitch, it's just not tested well enough before they get up on the stage. And people are saying, what was that? And that leads to the second part. Who is it for? That is, who benefits? Who is it for? Because if you don't have those 2 essential things, we don't know what this pitch is about. And then the next thing is, why should I listen to you? Now, if you say that I'm the CEO and founder of XY company, then we know at least you are the decision maker of this company. You are the one with the vision. You're the one who is making it happen. But if you are XY person on the engineering team, it may not feel that you're the one that we should be listening to. It varies. But all CEOs, all founders should be great communicators. Now, as an introvert, I've had to learn how to be a better and better communicator. And I've had to get over certain challenges. And part of what I do with my clients is a number of them are introverts, some of them are not introverts, but the point is it's about words, strategy, and rehearsal. And now we're still focused on the words that we're pulling from you, and that's answering the 5 W's. Quick review, what is it? Who's it for? Who benefits? Why should I listen to you? I call it like using a condiment. You sprinkle in a couple of details. You don't give them your resume, but you can say, well, having worked in the film industry for 20 years, I noticed that people respond to XY. See?
So you're using your credibility as a condiment.
Right, but you're only sprinkling it in. You're just sprinkling a comment here or there.
Yes.
You're not giving the resume. We don't have time for that. But
Probably nobody really cares. They just want to know what's it for them.
which is exactly where we go next. What's in it for me? Now, you might think that the beginning of a speech or a pitch, particularly a pitch, what's in it for me should come in sooner. And sure, that's important. But sometimes when you're pitching to investors where it doesn't appeal to them personally, but they can see that this is a crucial evolution or revolution in a certain kind of product line. And so what's in it for me, I can make money off of that. Not that I'm actually into that topic. The 5th question is, what does this disrupt? Now, this is crucial because disruption is on the mind of investors. Disruption is on the mind of anybody who is involved with leaping forward with business endeavors.
Tom, why don't you elaborate more on this disruption?
Glad to do it. So the easiest things to look at in terms of disruption is taxi cabs, Uber, totally disrupted. Brick and mortar bookstores, totally disrupted by Amazon. Hotels, to a great deal, disrupted by Airbnb. Now, on their website, it says, book unique homes and experiences. And particularly for the younger demographic, they're really about experiences. For the younger demographic, that's why we have GoPro cameras. Not only because of social media, you want to show what you're doing. Personally, I'm not going to take a picture of my dessert.
Oh, but why?
But part of the research for one of my projects is urban fantasy series of books that's coming out soon called Gently Storm. I was at Mayan ruins. I will post a video about being at Mayan ruins if I connect it to Gently Storm and there's a major character named Jack Angelsword. Yes, the idea of the younger demographic being attracted to certain things. That's crucial when we talk about what does this disrupt. Any company can expect to be disrupted at any time. And when you are speaking about your pitch, remember I emphasized what is a big idea. Unfair advantage. I live in Silicon Valley. That's what I hear all the time. Unfair advantage. So we don't just want to make an incremental improvement. We want to make something that's so great that every other competitor will go, whoa, that's an unfair advantage. You see?
Especially when it's yours.
Well, that's the point. It's yours, it's not theirs. So it's like, oh no, I have to keep up with that. But the other thing is unfair advantage, disruption, and then big profits. That's when we know we have a big idea. Other people like to use the word scalable. You can scale it all around the world. Terrific. That's good. but being aware of disruption is fantastic. So at this moment, it looks like a good time to do a Marcoux moment. That's when I share an excerpt from one of my 47 books up on Amazon. The book we're talking about right now is called How the Rich and Smart Break Free. Subtitle is Skills to Overcome Fear, Small Thinking, and Dark Resistance, and Create Wealth. There's a great section in this book about how to convince investors to fund you. And on page 98, we talk about what it is to communicate how competent you are. I talk about in Convince Investors to Fund You, that section of the book, and also my workshop and speech, I talk about 5 C's. And one of the 5 C's is competent. The first of the 5 C's is confident. If you're doing things and you're aware of training and rehearsing and getting your words together about being competent, it's easier to be confident in yourself. So the thing here, incompetent, I talk about something I call BECC. This is something that you really need to do well in a pitch. The big idea, which we talked about plenty, but also E is engage with story. The next letter is C, and that's credible. And then finally, the last C of BECC is compelling. The excerpt I'm going to share now begins with the highly competent person delivering a pitch provides the big idea early in their pitch. That's how we get people engaged. The concern here is that often people will save the big thing for the middle of the pitch or the end of the pitch. Oh, I want to end with a big finish. But we want to get into the big idea early in the pitch, as the excerpt says here from this book. The reason being is that you can't build up to the big finish if you lost the audience at the beginning of your pitch.
Yes.
They won't care. So that's the end of our excerpt section. Now, I'm curious, Johanna, what are you going to keep from our conversation?
I think one of the main points is that people, when they're doing a presentation, really need to connect with the audience and let them know what the product is and how it's going to help them.
Exactly. And particularly for a pitch, it's not always going to exactly help the investor, but it's got to be so clear about what is it, who is it for, who benefits. And then the third part was, why should I listen to you? Fourth, what's in it for me? And fifth, what does this disrupt? Johanna, thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
For articles and videos, go to getthebigyes.com. Also, visit yourbodysoulandprosperity.com. We're glad that you heard this broadcast, and we invite you to
Click to subscribe.
and then you'll be supporting me and Johanna and our message.
And so now remember,
Introverts can show their best self with strategy.
I'm Johanna McLeod.
I'm Tom Marcoux.
Thank you.
Be well.
Bye.